Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited. Today we have Sawgrass with us, and we have Rhonda on to show us and walk us through all the fun things. We're going to be crafting, but also I think it's such a good opportunity when we have like an expert on the line to actually go through the questions that I've collected, one. And then I have quite a few questions too. Just like I feel like when we start crafting, there's just certain things that we always do, but I'm excited to actually see you work, Rhonda, but also for you to see me do things and let me know if I'm doing something that's not, that's not going to help me produce the best project possible. For those that are on the line, let us know if you can hear us. I think we're good. We've been checking it. But we're gonna have some fun crafting for Christmas, even though I feel like it's basically December already, but we've got a few more days.
This has kind of snuck up really fast this year, hasn't it?
Oh, I know, totally. Well, so Rhonda, what are you crafting today?
So today we're going to be doing a Christmas stocking. As we have this great Christmas stocking, I'm just going to decorate the body of the stocking, but you can put your name on the top on these great sequins, so that's awesome too. But we're going to make a stocking today, and I think you're going to be making some things to go in the stocking, correct?
I am. Well, I'm doing quite a few things. So one of the things, oops, one of the more popular projects that I've done lately that I've gotten a lot of questions in my DMs is the ornament. So I wanted to show photos, but also from the questions that we got, I wanted to show a few other things that we don't normally see because I was really shocked when someone responded to me and said that they thought sublimation was only for tumblers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much out there. So I have a few things on the side, and I figured we could just craft our way through it and craft our way through the questions as well. So, oh, and Chrissy says, yay. Chrissy says the sound is coming through perfect. So, all right. Do you want to do yours first?
Yeah, definitely. So we actually, I think this is a good time for Daisy to demonstrate for us. So Daisy's a part of our team as well. She is through the magic. She's going to do a little screen share for us. And so we at Sawgrass recently launched a new suite of software. So we call it the Sawgrass Exchange. It's going to be our new design tool, which is Design Mate. And then we also have a new print management tool called PrintMate. And then we've also added this great functionality where you have a digital storefront, and that's going to be Market Mate. So we have added all of that in, and Daisy's going to give you a quick look at how Design Mate looks and how DesignMate works. If you are using Creative Studio and you love Creative Studio, that's perfectly fine. Our print management tools work with any software, so you don't have to use our design tool. But if you're looking for a design tool, this is a great spot to use one. Daisy is currently looking at those ornaments that you're going to be making. And then with that also, you choose the product. That's going to give you the right dimensions. That's also going to make sure that your design is the right shape. So that's one of the great things about using our design tool is all of that is already set and you're using exactly what you need. So Daisy is going to demo just kind of pulling up a product and then to show you kind of the design stuff you can do. You can add your own files. We do have a plethora of designs and elements that you can put in there as well. Shapes. We do have a whole lot of things in DesignMate to make your life easier and to give you a nice little simple design tool to get your projects where you need them to be.
So we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. It's our Wi-Fi in the building.
Always. So we're a little trouble with our Wi-Fi. That is pretty normal for us. But if Daisy, if you want to stop sharing screen, I can go ahead and demo putting this stocking together.
I'm just going to remove, oops. Sorry, I may have hit the wrong button. So you'll have to reconnect and get back into the studio. But yeah, that happens. But one of my favorite things about Design Mates is, and it's going to sound really maybe silly to some, but when, I've been doing mugs since Cricut came out with their mug press. So, and I love them because it's so different from paper crafting. You get this beautiful mug. Everyone loves it. You can personalize pictures or, whatever it is. But what I like about the design mates is that when I go in and use the mug template, it also shows me what it looks like on the mug. So, and that's different because I'm so used to being in Cricut's design space and I get the template and it's just a flat rectangle basically, right? So I put things on and I know it fits, but there's a whole different look and feel when you can actually see it wrap around the mug. And I've realized like, oh wait, that actually doesn't make sense. Like I should move this over a little bit. And it's just one of those things where in the past, I would have made that mistake and maybe made the adjustment on the second mug, but I would have gone through a whole mug, not
Yeah.
lined up the way that I, think is best.
Yeah, it's really great because you do get to see that preview. That preview is helpful. You do get to see what the mug looks like for the ornament or the Christmas stocking. So you're in a situation where you're seeing your design on the product instead of just that artboard like you do in most software. So it is one of the great features of it. So I am putting this down to press it. One of the things about sublimation is that you're not carrying the whole piece of paper over. You're only carrying the image because the magic of sublimation is that when heated, the ink becomes a gas and it literally leaves the paper and travels into whatever you're pressing onto. So in this case, my design, I wasn't sure how it was going to line up on my stocking, so I can cut that. I don't have to worry about cut lines or anything looking awkward. It's going to line up perfect. It's fine that my paper is bigger than it needs to be. I can make all of that just the way I need it to be. Now you will notice I am taping. That's kind of one of my pro tips. I have been in the care team here for a long time, or was in the care team for a long time. And so one of the things I always say to make sure you do is tape well, so that ink goes exactly where you want it to be. Jesse, do we have a question?
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you guys Design Mate so you can see how we designed this design.
Awesome. And while she's pulling that up, did you have any questions for me today?
We did have a list of questions. So let me add Jesse to the stage, and I think that's going to work there. Okay, perfect. Well, okay, so I have a lot of paper crafters, and that's mainly my craft.
Mhm.
But one of the questions that came through is how is sublimation different than printable HTV? Because I feel like my community, we've gone from Cricut crafting and then we've added the heat press, but we're used to doing more vinyl, like at iron on vinyl, and dabbled in the printing part, but the printing is on actual like printable HTV.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's a good transition there, right? So when you do vinyl, vinyl is something that's going to sit on top of the surface. When you do if you were layering vinyl and just using Cricut and cutting, then you're going to put, for each color that you're applying, you're doing a different layer of vinyl. Where the heat transfer vinyl comes in handy, and especially like the Caesar Easy Subli that you're printing onto, that's great because you're cutting out one piece and applying it, but it's still something that's going on top. The thing with sublimation is, like I said, it's a chemical process. The ink becomes a gas when heated, and that poly coating on anything that you're pressing onto, the pores open up. So the ink actually becomes a part of the surface. So when we look at my shirt, instead of it being 3 Christmas trees that are vinyl and applied on top, it's actually a part of the shirt itself and always will be. So same thing when we do this stocking in a moment, what's going to happen is the design will actually be in the fibers itself. And when we talk about tumblers, it's actually a part of the coating. So now it's a part of the surface of that tumbler or that ceramic mug or anything else for the lifetime of the product.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge difference because we can make and I will before start even with that. I don't think that one is better than the other. I find that like as a crafter or a creator, I like mixing all the different things that I know. So
Mhm.
like I will mix sublimation with iron on HTV. So it's not about replacing one or the other, but it's
Yeah.
just understanding the pros and cons because then you can make that choice of which one is the best for your project. One of the things that I dislike about iron on is that once it leaves my craft room, I make something for someone, but if it's a sweatshirt and they don't wash it properly, all of a sudden it starts to unravel and peel off. Whereas with sublimation, it's on there forever and ever. So
Yeah.
it's just nice to know the difference because sometimes you'll want both.
Yeah. Yeah, there are times when you can mix and match, put them together, or there's one project that may be best for one and then one may be for the other. So I kind of do a lot of those. The heat transfer vinyl in our world is really great because with sublimation, you are limited to white, bright, and white, and you're not limited to that with the heat transfer vinyl. So that works really well. Now I do see Design Made is up.
Can you show us what the design is on your paper?
My first one, okay.
What
Jesse's
does
giving
that
me
say?
instructions.
Marry everything.
Marry everything. And then
Happy
always.
always. So now I'm just going to go in. I don't know if people have been seeing, but I have been using both our designs and our elements, and they're all completely editable. So I've had a cute little design, but Daisy put her own twist on it, and it said, "Marry everything."
Yeah, I love when the images are editable because I don't want to design from scratch. But I definitely like to put a little bit of, personalization into it.
Yeah, definitely. And that is one of the keys to sublimation because you are printing every time. It is very personalizable. You'll see with a lot of these elements that she can change colors. Even with that font, she can not only change the color of the font, she can add a stroke around it as well. And then, of course, we have those designs that are already in there that you can use, but you can change colors in it, change the text as Daisy and Jesse did, and make that completely your own.
And make sure you always click done when you change the color of something.
Always hit delete.
Are you speaking from experience?
I'm a fast clicker. I click way too quickly, and I shouldn't do that. So go back here, click on this little guy. Let's change the color. It's not going to look exactly like Rhonda's because you know what? I get to personalize it this time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make it. Oh, I did it again.
I love it when other people make mistakes because it's just validation that I'm okay.
I always tell people who are sublimating, you are going to make mistakes. It is very usual to make mistakes when you're doing it. I did a shirt earlier today and forgot to prep my material correctly and then ended up with a shirt I had to throw away. Well, it'll become a sleep shirt. But you all make mistakes no matter how long you've been at it or how many times a day you sublimate, you're still going to make those mistakes. Put
Yep.
things upside down, forget to mirror things. Um,
So one of the great things about DesignMate, if you can see, I zoomed into my print area here. We've already pre-programmed the templates of the substrates. So you can really make sure that your design is going to fit whatever you're printing on. So therefore, you're not going to waste paper or prints trying to get it all right. But if you do, you can always go Rhonda's route and cut it up and hodgepodge it back together. So what I would do here, let's say I'm happy with this. I like the way it looks, super cute. I got my little peace and love Christmas tree and snowman. I'm going to go ahead and save and print that. I'm going to call this my holiday stocking. Now you can have different categories within DesignMate. Here I have a category for Christmas. and it's going to save my design and then pull up another option for me. So I can either print from the next page, or I can go ahead and enter into the next zone.
Yeah, market made.
Market
Which
made.
is really, really awesome because so many of our users sell. So whether they sell to friends and family, or they have their website, or maybe they go out to a market every week or so, the really great thing about Market Mate gives you a digital platform. Now, if you have our printer and you have our software, you have Market Mate. If you're in the US, it is US only right now, but this is not an extra cost. So this is available to everyone. You do have a digital store. You are seeing here that, she's going to hit print, but you could set this product up for the store. You get to choose the price. You also can add a lifestyle image, so it's not just on a white background. And then also you choose if it's customizable or not. So if you want to be a daisy and change the words, you can allow your customers to change the text, maybe the font. Maybe you're really tied to the color and you don't want them to change that, but you get to make all the decisions because as the store owner, you're in charge. Now, when you add this to your store, you'll have share links. You can share this on your social media. You can share it in an email to, if you have a newsletter or a mailing that goes out, and you will share that product with whoever you think would want to buy it. Now, the great thing about MarketMate and our system is that the order comes back to you. So you are both the seller and you are the producer. So those orders are going to come to you and you'll be able to produce them, make money on both sides. So you're the store owner, but you're also the person making it. So you get to be both. You're in complete control. And we try to give you as much control on that as possible. Now I am going to go ahead and press this.
Okay. Now, how do you decide when you use protective paper and when you don't? Or do you always use it?
I always use protective paper.
Okay.
And generally, to me, you're saving your press, because if you're not using protective paper and something gets off, now on this, what are the chances? It's not lying over the edges. It's not going to get on anything, but it's just a way to trying to be safe. Now, I know one of your questions was about where you can kind of save money. You can use blowout paper more than once. As long as it doesn't get ink on it, you can continue to use that. And you don't have to have fancy blowout paper. You can use wax paper right out of your kitchen as well. Or parchment paper too.
I love that. You have a question that's coming through on YouTube. It says, can you go through how to download the new Design Mates to a desktop with Windows? And can you only download it to one, or could I put it on my iPad as well?
Yeah, so here's the thing. DesignMate is going to be a web-based application. So if you go to sawgrassinc.com, click on DesignMate, you're able to open it and use it no matter where you are. Now you'll have one account. You can design on an iPad. You're not going to be able to print from the iPad. You really need to be on a desktop for that. But so DesignMate is web-based. That means MarketMate is web-based as well. And then you will download. So if you go to Get Started, you will download PrintMate, which is our print management software. That is an app that will be on your desktop computer, both Windows and Mac compatible.
Sounds like you're ready.
Ready.
I'm just showing where you can find DesignMate and those Get Started links there at the very top of sawgrassinc.com.
And then you'll see download PrintMate. And that's where you're going to download that software. It is going to have it ready for both Windows or Mac. And there is, I'm going to touch these sequins. There's my stocking. Now, what are you wearing?
Love it. I love it. Well, okay, so one of the things, because I craft all the time. And so, and my daughter, she had me teach how to do handwriting myself, like before she learned it in school. So she recognizes my handwriting. So when I do things from the Tooth Fairy or from Santa, I like to do it. I print things out so that she can't recognize that it's, or she knows my wrapping paper and all that stuff because she's in my craft room all the time. So what I did today is I'm doing a ribbon. So I know not I feel like this is sort of new. Like I don't see a lot of people doing this, but this ribbon you can sublimate on it. So I'm doing, it says, Santa, so that the gift from Santa is going to have this ribbon so she won't know it's from me. It's funny what, sometimes I feel like, oh, she's so grown up, and then other times I'm like, oh, she's still a baby. So I'm gonna stick this in. So I've taped it. I mean, there's a couple things that I don't know. I would love your tips and tricks on ribbon, but I find that my pattern, I like to have a break in it so that it's easy for me to put it in. Um, and then also because it's white ribbon, like I almost like just an image and not to color the whole ribbon, because then it's more difficult to make sure that it's 100% beautiful, and you're not going to get annoyed by it.
That's one of my biggest tips is be aware of what you're designing for. So if I were doing ribbon, I do the same thing you're doing. It's going to be so hard to completely color the ribbon. So you can do white or you can do a light color because you can sublimate onto colors other than white. The big thing with ribbon is as long as it's 100% polyester, most ribbon is, you can use that. So this is great for gift wrapping ribbon. This is also if you wanted to make some adulting ribbons. I got out of bed today. I got the kids to school in time. You can do adulting ribbons the same way. Just any ribbon, 100% polyester is great for sublimation.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, I have mine is super simple, just a Santa Claus on there. It's Santa with his little truck. And so I thought that was going to be easy to duplicate and to, make the ribbon. So my heater is just almost there, but I'm just taping it down. And another thing is, like, once you start taping it down, I know it's so obvious, but like I make all these mistakes all the time, is once I cut it, just make sure that it's all facing up, right? So Santa Claus is written the same way, the whole length of it. All
Upside
right.
down is one of the biggest mistakes that people make all the time.
Well, I can't tell you how many tumblers I have where it's like upside down. And of course they come out and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty.
So
But
you could do with ribbon. It doesn't work very well if it's like a ceramic mug, but you can hold it up to the light and make sure that they're all showing because you can kind of see through the paper.
oh, okay.
Kind
Yeah, like I just picked it up now and I can see. Okay, I never thought to do that. I love that. Okay. So I'm going to stick this in just a second. I'm going to cut this off. And then while it's heating, I'm going to show you some of my favorite blanks. Um, so of course, like any glassware, right? This was what my daughter dressed up as for Halloween. So one of the things about sublimation is how clean and all the details that you can get that you can't get from anything else. Like
of,
there's no way you can attempt to do this with just vinyl.
yeah.
So I mean, just the colors are, I love it.
That is amazing. So vibrant. Looks so awesome. And there are so many products. Like you said, there's all kinds of different tumblers that you can do. There is one of my favorites is glass cutting boards because I
Uh-huh.
really love giving that kind of personalized kitchen feel. There's just so much.
Well, and I have these. These are, for the yard. And so and this is great because this is not going to get damaged from the weather. So it can be outside. You can see what it is. It can kind of like blend in a little bit too. And then the other one that I'm going to do in a bit is this one's one of my favorites. This is what I'm gifting all my mommy friends. So I asked them for pictures that they like. So this is, This is Henry. He's Harry Potter, but I love, and then adding on. So this is when I use iron on vinyl. So I am one that will use paper crafting, sublimation, all of it, like all in one if I can. Like I just love to craft, and I like different things about different types. So um, and I just got this, but I haven't sublimated on this yet. So like a little, like you said, either a charcuterie board or, I mean, yeah, that's what I would use it for. But I just love it. There's so many different things that you could do, and I think it's hard for being in, like, as a creator, because we're so used to seeing all these things, and I don't think it has quite the same wow factor. But for anyone who doesn't craft and they get something super personalized, I mean, you can just tell when they're opening it, like it is super special.
Yeah,
So all
so
right.
my sixth Christmas here at Sawgrass. Every year, everyone on my Christmas list has done sublimated gifts. It may be mugs. I have done those wine and cheese sets before. Those are just so amazing, and we just keep pulling out all the awesome things that we have sitting around that we have made over time. But I have done those before. Those are great. Glass cutting boards are great. People love just a mug with family photos with some extra hot chocolate or something inside. There's so many different routes you can go for sublimated Christmas gifts. This is
Yeah.
really awesome. This would be like a wine chiller where you could put ice in it, and you see how well those colors just pop on that.
All right. I just stuck mine in. So that's going to be a portion of the ribbon that I'm going to be able to show in a second. Now, we haven't talked about it, but one of the fun things that we've got going on is there's going to be a lucky winner of a Sawgrass printer. So if you, I'm doing a craft along that starts on Friday. So it's XOXO Christmas. And if you have a US mailing address and you bought the VIP pass, then you are automatically entered into our 12 days of raffle. And on the last day, like we went from, our smaller gifts, and we kept adding and adding and adding. The last day is a Sawgrass printer. But what's amazing is it's not just a Sawgrass printer. You're going to get some blanks that come along with it too. So you can really get started. So that's, I don't know. I'm so excited. All the craft girls that are part of the craft along, they want to be entered in in this raffle.
It is a very desirable printer to have. But yes, this is the SG500. This is the printer model that's being raffled off. It is our smaller printer. It handles up to 8.5 by 14 paper, but that covers so many things. I honestly think, other than even the sock here, the way the design is done would even go on that SG500. So it is
Right.
a phenomenal printer.
Well, it is something that I was thinking, for me, that I do have the SG 1000, but I think that the SG 500 would have been totally fine for me, because my heat press too, like that's all that I can actually press at one time.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to show you what my ribbon looks like. I'm super excited. So, oops, I should just peel this off. I tend to over tape because I don't want it to shift on me.
Never a bad thing. Never skimp on the tape. One of the issues that people have with sublimation is that ink as a gas can escape. It's called gassing or ghosting. Tape is a really good way to prevent that. So you can never overtape.
I love it. Look at, so you can really I mean, obviously, mine just says Santa Claus, and yes, you could go to Michael's possibly and find lots of Christmas options, but there's not a lot that actually says Santa Claus. So, like, this ribbon is actually from Santa's workshop. But for a birthday or something, if you put their, I don't know, their picture or their name, I mean, that's not easy to find elsewhere. So I love this.
There's so many people with names that never get a gift that's personalized, because you can't go to the store and find An the way you
With one N, yes.
it is not common. It's actually on the most unpopular name list. I don't know either. So that's the sublimation is everyone gets something with their name on it.
Yes, that's true. And you know what? I really want to point out, I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to put it right up to the camera in a second, how the colors changed. So this is the print before heat was added. And then I don't know if you can really see it, but this truck, the red is so pretty and so vibrant.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah,
if you're wondering in person, the Santa Claus has like gold, I don't know, like a gold stars behind it and like kind of gold dust. So that might be why the Santa Claus doesn't look quite as vibrant, because in person you can actually see the gold shimmer.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I always tell people about sublimation is that when you print it out, those colors have not been activated by the heat. So when we judge how colors look, when we create our color profiles, it's based off of the pressed outcome. So when you pull that off, those colors often are dull, they don't look as good. And then the other thing is, and I don't know if you have your paper left that you pulled it off of, there will be a substantial amount of ink left on the paper. And that's because not all of that ink can go into those pores on that fabric and go into those fibers. So don't think something's wrong or that you're not getting full coverage. You are. It is designed to leave ink on there, not too much ink, not something where you can keep reusing it, but definitely there will be ink left over.
Sorry, I was just gonna grab. I thought I had it nearby, but I did socks recently.
Sorry about that.
Oh, what's that?
I threw an audible. I didn't tell you to keep it, so sorry.
Oh no. I made a mistake on the socks, and so I ended up adding the like the pieces that I've already heated, and I just added again and reheated it, so it just looked like a lighter shade, and it was meant to be all over. But all right, so the next one that I have that I would love to put in there is sort of just like it's a little zip canvas bag. So we could put more things in here, maybe a gift card so it doesn't get lost in the stocking. But I printed out 4 different options. So there's a holly jolly, merry and bright, feeling extra grinchy today, and then a different version of the merry and bright. I was gonna let you kind of, I don't know, did you have a preference, Rhonda?
I love the Marion Bright. That always gets me.
This bottom one,
Yeah.
it's really pretty. It's got like this sequins glitter look to it too. So I'm going to do this, and actually, I'm glad I wanted to do this one because it's white and my image is going to be smaller than the pouch. And I know I've done this before where I've pressed it with cutting the edges like this, and then the edges get really like indented in there. So I know the trick is to sort of rip around it, right? Like to tear it off.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
So I'm going to do that. And does it matter if I'm tearing from the top, or should I be tearing in the other direction?
It
Or
doesn't,
just the fact that it's torn?
it's not going to matter. The big thing is just tearing those edges so they're not giving that hard edge on there.
Right.
As long as you do, you're fine. With something small like this, you could also make it bigger than the pouch, and that would have the same effect. So the biggest thing is we don't want those hard, harsh lines. That's where you tend to get that line on your finished product. And now
Right. Okay.
this morning on my t-shirt because I forgot to rip the edges.
Ripping it apart. Getting there. So, Rhonda, what's your favorite blank?
Oh my goodness, there are so many great blanks. I mean, I love mugs just because they're so versatile, and personalizing them. Everyone can use another mug, even if it's just whole pencils. I do love the glass cutting boards. That's a favorite of mine too. So those are really, really great. There's some really awesome just containers of all different kinds out there, like the wine chiller. There are containers for your kitchen. There's even like 13 by 19 baking dishes out there where you do the lid. So there's so many great personalizable sublimation blanks.
You left off my favorite,
What's that?
sequins.
The sequins are really, really cool, and you see them on the stocking. They're so awesome. The Sublimate on food is just a great, great product, and really something that stands out.
All right, so I'm gonna put this in. I'm gonna change my time. So give me a second. And I would say the only thing on this one is with the zipper, I have this hanging off on the top and then I'm gonna press it. So I'll be right back. Let me put this in.
Yeah, definitely. If you can get that zipper outside of the press, that's great. You can use a pressing pillow too to kind of absorb that zipper inside. But my general rule is to keep it outside if possible.
All right, well, while we're doing this, let me hit some of the questions that came in because I posted on my Instagram stories. If they had any questions, to go ahead and post it there if they can't make it to the live. So let's see. What are some of the drawbacks on converting a printer? And the reason why that one is near and dear to my heart is when I first started Sublimation, I converted one. And I'll tell you my issues later. But if you can tell me what your professional opinion.
So let me start with another one of the questions, and that is why Sawgrass? So one of the most important things about the Sawgrass printer is it is custom built for sublimation. This is not a printer that was made for something else and then sublimation ink was added. So whether you're converting a printer or whether you're buying a printer that was originally designed for something else, you're just not getting the same result. The Sawgrass printer is made specifically to handle sublimation ink. Sublimation ink is a different consistency than regular ink would be. And so these printers are designed to prevent clogging. So one of the issues you have a lot when you convert a printer is it's not really designed for that ink. It can clog more than you're going to get with the Sawgrass. The other thing to remember about the Sawgrass printer is that it does a daily maintenance cycle. This is a self-maintaining printer. There are times where you have to intervene, but for the most part, it's going to take care of it itself. So every time you don't use the printer for 10 to 12 hours, it's going to do a short maintenance cycle. It's going to push ink through the lines, keep that ink moving. That's one of the ways that it prevents there being clogs. Now, one of the other differences between a converted printer and a Sawgrass printer is a Sawgrass printer, we offer you service for the life of the printer. So you can call our care team right on the other side of the wall, and they will be glad to assist you. You can open a ticket online, do a chat with them as well. But our care team will walk you through anything that comes up above and beyond. And I think that's one of the main differences from when you convert a printer. All the instructions, everything for the Sawgrass, everything you find is about sublimation because that's what it's designed to do.
Yeah, well, I started out with converting because I wasn't sure if I liked it, and I mean, first of all, I don't know if you've heard this story, but I didn't even know it was called sublimation. I thought it was subliminating. Like so I didn't even have the correct term for it. And it's one of those things where you go down that path and things start to add up and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm ready to spend this much money." So I, got just a printer, got the ink, did all my YouTube stuff and, figured out how to put in the ink and all that good stuff. And my printer probably lasted about definitely under 18 months. So what ended up happening was it started to get clogged. So I would just flush it, but I'm flushing it like 5 times and it's just marginally getting better.
Yeah.
And then I started digging, like Googling and all this stuff. And it said, if you get to this point, your printer's done. Like it cannot handle anymore. You can't do anything. And at the time, it's so funny. It's like what strikes you at that moment, right? Is I was thinking, well, shoot, I just poured in all this ink. I had just done a refresh basically and it was just frustrating. And so then I thought, okay, do I get another one, knowing that it has like a shelf life of about 18 months, which is what my struggle. But it could be less, right? So that was when I decided to switch over. I knew I loved sublimation at that point, and so I did it. And I think I don't know anyone who doesn't like sublimation. Like once you do it, because of the details and all the different colors and all the different projects that you can do,
Exactly.
like this one. So I'm going to open this up. Isn't it pretty? I love the colors. And then I'm going to show you like really close up. This is supposed to look like sequins, like kind of glitter. And you can even capture that on this white pouch. So I
Mm.
love it.
Oh, that is so awesome.
And this is still really bright.
Yeah, it is so awesome. And Ann, you talked about 18 months. The Sawgrass printer has a 2-year warranty. So if that had been a Sawgrass printer, we would have worked with you on a replacement for that. So definitely the way to go.
Okay, good. Avion has a question for you that's coming through on YouTube. It says the t-shirt looks super cute. I love it. Can it be done on black?
So that is where the heat transfer vinyl comes in. So that's where you would use something like your Caesar Easy Subli vinyl, press onto that, and then put it on the shirt. Our sublimation printers do not have white ink, so you can't print directly onto the shirt, but that is where the heat transfer vinyl comes in really, really handy. And then you're able to sublimate onto that and then press it onto the black t-shirt.
All right, so I'm going to do another ornament. I've already done this one, but I know this is one of my favorite toddlers. My friend's little girl. Her name is Junie. Look at how stinking cute she is. So I'm sure they're gonna want another ornament. So I'm just gonna do it for them. But this is definitely one of my favorites. Now with the ornament, like gosh, I saw some that were so cute where they did 4 mini pictures on there. These can be ornaments, ornament tags, gift tags. This one I'm gonna give to my daughter. We did a mommy and daughter trip this summer. So it's us at the Eiffel Tower, and I'm gonna add, mommy and Minnie on here somewhere a little bit later. But I'm just gonna cut this out. And let me see if there's any other questions that we've missed. Can we talk about the ink though? So when you get the Sawgrass, I started with the Subli ink. Um, I have seen actually quite a few questions about the ink because people were wondering um, if can they switch out different brands of ink on the Sawgrass printer.
Yeah, so we have 3 different types of ink that are branded Sawgrass inks for our printers. We do have the Sublimation. That is our all-purpose ink that works for everything and does give you a good result on that sublimation heat transfer vinyl. Now, there's also a Caesar Easy Subli ink that we have. It is formulated specifically for the heat transfer vinyl, but will work on everything else. Really a good result on all the other products that we have up here. Now, I've said polyester a few times. Our ink does not work directly onto cotton. You would have to use the heat transfer vinyl. And so we do have an ink specifically for use with cotton. It is a pigment ink called Chromoblast. And so Chromoblast ink and Chromoblast paper are used with that. So a lot of people will get one ink and then may want to switch to a different one of our types of ink. Now, we say do not do that because the inks are so different, they can't mix in the lines of the printer. You're never going to get a good result again. So we suggest that, if you have that Sublimation in your 1000 and then you want to do Chromoblast, maybe get a second printer for that, we do not recommend switching between inks. And as far as using other brands of ink, your Sawgrass printer is designed for Sawgrass ink, so make sure you stick with our ink and our brand.
Good to know. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Now, when I did my ornament, I did it so that my ornament picture was going to be bigger. So I did it at 3 inches, and I think this one's just slightly under 3 inches.
Yeah.
So this right here will contaminate my my heat press. So I want to make sure that I'm wrapping it completely. And then also the easiest thing for me to remember is always the project, the printed part is closest to the heat source. So just make sure that you put it down so that it gets the right temperature on there.
Yeah. Yeah, that paper is always facing up in the press.
All right, so while that's pressing, let's see if we have any other questions on here that we've missed. We sort of talked about it, but we the difference between the SG 500 and the SG 1000 between the two printers.
The printers are identical. The only thing that's different is the size. So the main tray of the 500 handles 8.5 by 14. The main tray of the 1000 will go up to 11 by 17 paper. So you can have a much larger piece of paper in there. And I know one of your questions, Anne, was about where you can save money with sublimation. And probably the biggest tip I can give you is putting multiple projects on one piece of paper. PrintMate has several functions. We worked really, really hard to make sure it works great for this. So whether you're doing multiples of one design or multiples of different designs on a page, you can do that. You can even merge different jobs from DesignMate onto one piece of paper. So if I can tell you one place where you can save a little bit of money, use PrintMate, put multiples up on that page, and then by saving paper, you're saving a lot of time too.
Yeah, definitely. All right, mine is almost got 10 more seconds. Think we hit all the questions on the sheet. Right from everyone?
It feels like we hit everything. The one thing I do want to remind everyone is that we have our 12 days of Giftmas coming up. So we're going to have giveaways. We're going to have lives with our dealers. We're going to have so much fun stuff going on our social media channels. So please keep an eye on them for the next 12 days. You may see a little blog post with me. And so we're going to have a lot of fun stuff going on. So make sure and check that out. And of course, stick with Anne during her XOXO Christmas as well.
Yes, I know. Christmas is such a fun time to craft. And so I feel like there's so many craft-alongs and so many workshops that you can do. But we've got ours coming up, XOXO Christmas. It's Friday and Saturday, and it's basically 12 of my favorite craft friends. We design these projects for Christmas crafting, but we also like try to keep in mind, like, yes, we're showing you all the Christmas stuff, but one of the favorite things that we like to do is we also then take the same file and turn it into some other seasonal project. So that's kind of like the thing. So we, make it really fun. And if you get your tickets, then you're also entered into our raffle prize, which of course we were talking about. One of the prizes is the Sawgrass printer. So here is little Junie. I love it. I love the whole vintage look. And I'm just going to add ribbon on there and add her name and HTV and the year so that this will be for her mom, and I'm sure she's gonna want one too. She's so stinking cute. She's 2 and she always wants my crafts. So of course she's a favorite of mine. All right, let's see. And I think the other thing that I wanted to talk about one of my learnings is that for sublimation, when at the first time that I sublimated onto a glitter surface, and a colored glitter, it did not have the same results as putting something on a white blank. So that I just want to throw that out there because that was so shocking to me, and how different colors didn't quite worked as well, depending on the glitter that you use.
Yeah. Yeah, the color is very important. That's one of the reasons why we always say buy your blanks from one of the dealers one of the main dealers. And the reason for that is because the white point even. So even if it's white, if it's a little yellow, if the white's not perfect, you are going to get a product that the color's a little off from what you were expecting.
Oh, I didn't realize that happens on the white as well.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a question coming through. What resolution should the pictures be? And then can you use a scrap piece of paper? What's the smallest size of paper that can be used?
Yeah, so I tend to recommend that because it is a printer and it has to go through the printer, that you're using a full sheet of paper. Someone yesterday told me to cut some paper and I'm like, no, because I would never get the edges right. So we do recommend using a full sheet of paper. That's why we do suggest that you put multiples on a page. I mean, it is fine if you print on one end of the paper to then flip it around and use the other piece of paper before you press them. But we tend to say, I know with vinyl and other things you can use scraps, not so much because it is a printer, you don't want that paper to get stuck. As far as, what was the other half of the question?
The resolution of the pictures.
So the printer prints at 150 DPI. So anything over that is going to be great. We generally aim for about 300, but anything over 150 would work.
Well, that's so our next question about the resolution is from Christy. And she says, gorgeous pic, Ornament Ann. Is there an app or a way to make your pics 300 DPI high quality for subbing?
And you may know of an app. Generally, you can't change resolution. It is what it is. One of the things that you can control is the size of the image. So sorry, I'm going to go into my copy shop lingo for a minute. But the big thing to remember is that if I have something that is 5 inches by 5 inches and it is 72 DPI, if I cut that in half, so now it is 2.5 by 2.5, I've just doubled the number of dots per inch. So it's gone from being 72 dots per inch to being 144 dots per inch. And you probably get a decent result from that. So the big thing to remember with resolution is size is very important. Even if it says it's 72 dots per inch, if it is 18 by 24, which is what my camera does on my phone, it's going to be perfectly fine. That's going to be under that 150 when you get it down to sublimation size.
Yeah, so going smaller is better, right? So if you zoom out and you're trying to make it big, you need to start out with a really high resolution. And I find that like whenever I just look at the picture before I even print it, that if it's questionable, I don't want to ruin my blank. I don't know. Is that a good rule of thumb?
Great. And you know, this is a reason why you should keep some 100% polyester fabric on hand, because you can always test it and see how that looks. You also could, if you have like a mug blank that maybe the mug's cracked and you can't use it and it's been replaced, go ahead and sublimate onto that. And that's a good tester, so you know how it's going to look without wasting a big blank, because they are.
It's so good because normally I'm like, if I mess up on a blank, I get so frustrated. I'm like, toss that thing. But now, okay, I'm gonna keep it because I could use that to reuse it for testing. Okay, that's I love that tip. Love it, love it, love it. The other thing that we haven't touched upon, one of my favorite things about the Sawgrass though is that before you go, when you're in your when you're ready to print and you go through the different selections, one of the things that I like is actually choosing my blank. And I didn't realize how important it was. I was like, well, when I first saw it, I have to admit I was a little bit not annoyed. That's a little bit too strong of a word. But I was just like, oh my gosh, another step that I got to do. And what does it matter? Like, does it matter that I'm doing a tumbler versus sequins versus a polyester shirt? But when I asked that question, I was actually surprised at why you guys have that on there and how amazing it is. So if you can explain that, because I'm sure you can explain it better than I can.
Yeah, so, with sublimation and with the way our color profiles are set up, is in our print management tool, PrintMate, we have a different profile for every combination of settings there are. So depending on what paper brand you're using, what quality you want, what color mode you want, and what blank you're using, there's a profile set up for it. Profile checking days are my favorite because we tend to look at a lot of pictures laid out on a table and just circle around and around. We do have equipment that helps us with it too. So when we were looking at launching new software, I did roundtables. I did roundtables with our staff, with our sales team. I did them with our customers as well. And that's one of the things I learned was that people didn't know how important it was to choose those settings. So one of my favorite features in PrintMate is presets. So if you're not sure what options to choose, we have presets for anything from a polyester shirt to a stainless steel tumbler. You can choose that and it does the settings for you. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. You just choose your paper size and your paper type, and then you choose your preset, and it gets you that great output every single time.
Yeah, that it's I didn't realize how important that was. And you're right, like since I've one of my followers, she recently bought a Sawgrass printer. And I was telling her, and she had converted a printer and she was struggling. She's like, well, I don't know, like sometimes the pink turns out like this and sometimes the pink turns out like this. And she's like, what do I need to do? And I was like, I don't know, my Sawgrass does everything for me. Like I haven't had that problem. And so she switched over. She did her first, I think her first project was a mouse pad, and she said the uh the quality of the clearness and of the project was so different. And she's like, I don't even think I bought a high quality mouse pad. So she was already impressed with her project.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think I'm going to spend more money on the actual blanks to get even better projects out of them. So I thought it was I felt good. I mean, I knew I was steering her in the right direction anyway, but it was nice to have that validation like immediately. Because sometimes I feel like, when you print out, you wouldn't be able to tell the quality just yet. And it just depends. There's so many variables in this whole process that you might not be able to pinpoint why that project looks better. But in this case, like the way she did it, she was very happy with the fact that she could identify right away that having that Sawgrass printer made such a huge difference. So I wanted to point out all the different things that I have on here. Oh, you know what? We have one more question that just came in. Does the paper need to dry after printing?
Absolutely
I've
not.
never felt that it's wet. Is
No,
that okay?
no, it shouldn't be wet. If it
Okay.
is wet, most likely the settings are wrong, but even that's very, very rare. So generally, it's never going to be wet. You're going to be able to use it immediately. A little different if you're using heat transfer vinyl, the easy Subli vinyl. But with regular transfer paper, you don't have to be worried about it being wet. And the other thing to remember is with sublimation, you do not have to press it immediately. So if you wanted to print today and press tomorrow, it's perfectly fine. You can store those in a nice dry location and you're not going to have any issues with pressing them later.
Oh, that's so I've been doing that, but I actually didn't realize like how long. I mean, I just put it in a folder so it's not like outside and in direct light and whatever.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Do the blanks need to be sealed? No, that's the great thing about sublimation. As soon as I'm done, I can just, do whatever and it's on here, it's in the blank. And it doesn't matter, like if this was a sweatshirt, it doesn't matter if someone didn't wash it inside out or threw it in the dryer and put it on high heat. You're not going to have a problem with the actual image itself. So that's one of the things that I like. And I never sold pressed HTV projects. But just even giving it as a gift, because sometimes I'm like, you just gotta be careful because I don't want them to wash it the first time and then all of a sudden the HTV is peeling and they think it's like my fault. But then how do you say no? It was all you. So yeah, that's one of the things that I love about sublimation is that it's on there and this can be outside. Like this is, obviously for the garden, it's
Mhm.
stick to say it's basil, and this will last through all sorts of weather, and you can hear it like there's nothing to pick off. It's just it's in there. It's embedded into the project, it feels like to me. All right. Leanne says after let's see. Do the blanks need to be sealed after sublimating? No. Yeah. Just in case that question came in afterwards. No, it's done. It's pressed, you can give it away, you're totally good. And I think, oh wait, she's got another follow-up question. For example, the wooden ones. It's still a no, right?
Yeah, it's still no. So again, you're not gonna go to Lowe's and buy a piece of wood and sublimate onto it. You're gonna buy something that's made of wood from a reputable dealer. Those are already prepared for sublimation, and that coating that's on there that you sublimate onto, that's all you have to worry about. So again, you can't just go to Lowe's and buy a piece of wood and sublimate directly onto it. But as long as you're getting a sublimation piece of wood, it's set. There's nothing extra that has to be done once you print it and press.
Right, because the heating process, when you put that heat press to it, it changes the ink to a gas and it
Mhm.
gets embedded into the blank, right? So that's the process. And then once you remove that heat, it is in there, your project is done, and it is gonna last, the ink will last longer than the blank probably. Like my daughter will outgrow her sweatshirt before the sweatshirt is actually, not good because the ink rubbed off, or I don't know, washed off or whatever. That's not going to happen. All right, so I think we hit all the questions. Rhonda, thank you so much. Maybe we can do this again
Of
with
course.
different projects. Okay, awesome. So thank you guys. We'll see you later. This will be saved on YouTube, so you can always go back. And I hope to see you guys at XOXO Christmas. And good luck to all those that got the VIP pass. Hope you guys win the awesome prizes. All right, bye guys.